business, and we have an economy that's pretty uniquely dependent on tourism. Just last year, we had 359,000 jobs in tourism, $20 billion in wages, and almost $80 billion in overall economic input. But the excessive wait times for visas are really hurting communities like mine at the different U.S. consular posts around the world. And just to put this in perspective, the World Cup is coming to the Americas in 2026. It's expected to attract 8 million international visitors. Some we think will come to Las Vegas from Southern California. Tickets go on sale December 2025. But in many countries, the wait time for getting a visa may make it already too late. In Mumbai, the next available interview is October 2025, just 2 months before tickets go on sale. In Bogota, it's February 2026, nearly 2 months after they go on sale. And in Mexico City, it's already too late. The available interview is in August 2026, which is a month after the World Cup is over. Now, I know y'all have been making progress lowering wait times. You have an expanded interview waiver authority. But what about the people who haven't been here before? And I think this problem is not only hurting us economically, but it's part of our soft power and our cultural diplomacy. So could you talk a little bit about how we can address this problem?
Yeah,
if you need additional resources, what the situation is?
Thank you. No, I very much agree with you. We're intensely focused on this. In FY23, we issued more non-immigrant visas by over 20% than we did before the pandemic, which is when we started to have real challenges with both visas outside of the country, passports inside of the country. And we have reduced now interview times, the wait times for interviews, to pre-pandemic levels in every category except one, and the one is first-time visitors to the United States who are from non-visa waiver countries. So that's what we're intensely focused on now, making sure that those wait times come down along with every other wait time. The wait times that have come down, again, to pre-pandemic levels include the categories that are most impactful on the United States economy: students, temporary workers, maritime crew renewals, et cetera. But the focus now is on making sure that those who are coming for the first time and are not coming from a visa waiver country, that those times come down.
Are you keeping in mind the World Cup is coming rapidly?
Very much so.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you. My other question has to do with the Global Engagement Center. The Republicans on this committee seem to be confused about what that does, or maybe more importantly, what it doesn't do. And that's been made pretty manifest in this flawed so-called investigation that they're conducting. Would you talk about the national security consequences of failing to reauthorize the GEC?
Yeah, thank you. As I mentioned, it's the only part of the United States government that is singularly dedicated to directing and coordinating our efforts to counter foreign propaganda and disinformation abroad. And I think if it were to be terminated, that is, if the sunset was allowed to happen without being reauthorized, we would have policy and operational incoherence. We'd have degraded public response to information manipulation by China, by Russia, by Iran, by other foreign actors, and a growing number of allies who rely on the GEC to help them develop the tools to expose and to deal with misinformation and disinformation also would be let down. We've seen time and again now the effectiveness of this organization in exposing that disinformation in other parts of the world,
including
our own hemisphere.
Could you give us an example of something
Sure.
so that it's really clear what the GEC does?
For example, we've seen that Russian websites that were producing and disseminating disinformation, misinformation in the Western Hemisphere, in Africa, they were exposed, they were removed. We revealed a campaign by Russia targeting U.S. and Western health initiatives in Africa, trying to undermine the credibility of those initiatives. They were exposed, and we were able to deal with that. We revealed a campaign to launder Kremlin disinformation through local media in the Western Hemisphere, trying to gin up arguments against Ukraine, against NATO in our own hemisphere. Exposed, and we were able to more effectively deal with that. Similarly with China. We've seen Chinese disinformation in third countries about elections. We've done open source mapping through the GEC of their efforts to use surveillance and data collection in Xinjiang, which we've made available to people. So in a whole variety of ways, we've been able to not only expose this, but also working with countries. We now have 29 countries that use the GEC platform and hundreds of users to not only expose but also help develop the tools themselves to take action to remove and deal with disinformation. But I want to emphasize, this has nothing to do with the United States.
Ladies, time's
it's not
expired.
focused on it.
I'm sorry, you took a little more extra time.
Not focused
so
on this country at all. It is entirely about misinformation and disinformation abroad being perpetrated by adversaries.
Gentlelady's time's expired.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Mast, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman.